Okay, what I'll show today is how to take an M1 Garand bolt or an M1A bolt apart. Here we've got in front of us two Springfield M1 bolts. This trick works both with the M1A and the M1 bolt. I'll show with the M1 bolt because this one's been taken apart a number of times. It seems, anyways, it's older. This is an M1 bolt. It's brand new. The gun it's been out of is about a year old. I got it about a year ago, and I took it apart yesterday for the first time using this trick. It was a little bit harder. I'll show at the end of the video, if I remember anyways, to show you the differences between the two of them, but it's fairly evident the lineage of these two bolts. They're pretty identical except for the bolt roller and the bolt size. You can see the one on the left here has far less brass in it than the one on the right. I've only put about 500 or 600 rounds through this one, whereas this one, well, I'm not sure how many have been through it, but looks like a bit. Anyways, so to get started, I didn't want to end up buying one of the M1A or the M1 Garand bolt tools from Brownells. I just didn't see the point in it. So I asked a gunsmith friend of mine, what's the easiest way to take an M1 Garand bolt apart? And he showed me this, and it's pretty amazing. So what you're going to need is you're going to need a punch. And the punch is roughly the same size as the pin of the extractor where it comes through the bolt and holds the plunger in place. And you're going to want a small little hammer as well. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to punch out this extractor through the pin out the bottom. The punch is going to serve as the pin for the extractor. It's going to end up holding the plunger in place, and the firing pin can fall out the bottom. You'll see as we go along here. So what you want to do is basically put the punch onto the firing pin, hold it in place. You'll want to put your thumb at the top just in case anything decides to go flying. It might hurt a little bit. So anyways, we're holding it in place. I'll try to get this here. So you hold it in place and you basically tap at the top. You tap at the top. And there it is. The extractor fell out the bottom. The pin is serving as the plunger retainer and the firing pin retainer pin. Put your thumb across the top, slowly pull, and you'll see that the firing pin will fall out the bottom. And I haven't quite pulled it out yet enough for the ejector plunger to hurt my thumb, but if I keep pulling, it will eventually pull out, and there it is. One ejector plunger pulled out with the spring attached to it. So the reason I was going to do this is I'm going to try to take a few of the coils off the spring to stop it. This is from a 308 Garand, and it's extracting and throwing the brass straight back. So I want to see if I can get it out to the 1-2 o'clock position where, as far as I know, it should be. It's what it does in my M1A anyways. So let's put this back together again. So what we're going to want to do is, you'll see there's a cutout in this ejector plunger, the ejector plunger. And it lines up with this hole. So they'll come in together like this inside the firing pin, inside the bolt. And then we'll take the extractor pin, and we'll put it in place, and I'll get to it in a second. Okay, so to start with, we're going to want to put the firing pin into the bolt. Sorry, let's get it going here. I'm a little backwards. So it goes up through the bottom, lines up with the gate or whatever, this tang lines up with whatever this cut is called. Hold that in place on the bottom of the table, your working surface. You'll want to put the plunger into the hole where it belongs, lining up the cut as we had mentioned earlier. Or as I'd mentioned earlier, you'll see if I turn it just so, the cut will make itself evident as I push the plunger back. We'll take this extractor and you'll set it up so that it's just sitting there, ready to go. And as I was saying earlier, what you'll want to do is, with the base of the bolt pushed to the bottom push down on the bottom of your work surface, you'll want to push down on this extractor here, while at the same time you're pushing down with your plunger. You push down, and then you push with your thumb and click. It clicks into place. You pull your thumb out, and there you'll see we have the the ejector plunger in place. Whoops. The ejector plunger is in place, the extractor is in place, and we have one assembled M1 bolt. And if anyone wants to see that with the M1 bolt, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just a little bit harder. As mentioned earlier, that the difference between the two of them is that this plunger is much harder to push on as you attempt to drop the extractor in place, but it does work. I did it yesterday afternoon, and maybe I'll practice a couple times and I'll do it again and post a video if anybody wants to see it. But there you go, how to take apart lickety-split an M1 or an M1A bolt.